crushed it last week. And that was coming off of another really great week. We got some awesome momentum building. Guys, please give yourself another really big round of applause. What's up, brother? So I want to take a few minutes with you all, and I want to talk about the recession that the government will never own up to because they've altered the definition so that they don't have to look bad. We have the worst, most unpopular number one president in our US history. Like, our country is a joke. Biden, his economy is one of the best, worst wrecked economies ever. And it's the best thing that's ever happened to you. And it's the best thing that has happened to our prospects. It is the best thing that's happened to my partners, because right now there is crazy wealth acceleration with every failed bank. There's crazy wealth acceleration with inflation skyrocketing. There's crazy wealth acceleration with 130,000 tech jobs lost this year. And right now, I can't remember the senator's name, but I think Senator Warren came out and she said, we're planning on at least 2 million jobs lost this year. And we've got the advent of AI, which the World Economic Forum in 2020 said over the next 5 years, by 2025, this will replace 80 million US jobs. So we are in some ways in this insane economic free fall. And when you talk to people on the phones, I'm curious, have you found people freaking out a little bit about this? Raise your hand if you've talked to people that are worried. You should be, and they should be worried, because right now their entire lives, their entire livelihood, their entire financial game plan is at risk. Because if you follow society's game plan of college and a single income W-2, that is not the way. And everyone that works for this organization, in all of our companies, I'm letting every one of them know, you are not here to be an employee. You're here, everyone should have a financial game plan, and you should all be smart with your money, because there is a momentum of building wealth. And it's so slow in the beginning, because the most intelligent thing that you can do is make sure you're saving at least 20% of your income. And when you're saving 20% for investments, and there's a temptation to upgrade lifestyle, the vehicle, your furniture, the place where you live, if you fight that off and invest that money, there will be slow growth that comes out of it. But small things lead to massive things. In saving 20% and doing better at this job, you can save 30. You do better at this job, you can save 40. And then your investments kick in and start kicking over extra money. And guess what that extra money does? It increases the amount of money, because here's your goal. Everyone needs to have a plan for 100% of their income to be replaced by their investments. And that's a very elementary definition of financial independence, not freedom. Financial independence, which means I have made financial choices that cost me money. The way that I eat, the place that I live in, the cars that I drive, all of these expenses aggregate to a lifestyle cost. And when your investments are greater than your expenses of your lifestyle, that's when you're independent, because you have a choice to not work. Then what you do is you turn that work into even higher ROI. And then what you do is it speeds up the acceleration of investments. You want to own real estate, you want to own businesses. By the way, do it the smart way. Own businesses that are absentee owner status. Right? Like, one of the biggest classic mistakes, and I want you to hear this, because this is what your people need to hear. Here's the biggest mistakes financially that people make. And I'd write some of this stuff down, because this is what you should tell them. I was just talking to Kris Krohn this morning, and let me tell you what's up. Here are the biggest mistakes. Number one, they go to college. Nothing wrong with education, but they're going to college for career training to have a single source of income. That is a mistake. The second mistake they make is that they're seduced into a 401k. Because the company says, we're going to match those dollars. And they don't do the math to realize that they won't have enough. So they're tying up their money that should be for investing. And so the free money isn't free. The free money is a curse. And the free money is going to bury them alive financially at the end. The third mistake they make is they listen to their CPA and they start putting money in an IRA to lower taxes $600 a year. So again, the little freed up money that they had left gets locked away. So they're really good at putting money in prison. They stash their money where they can't access it. They stash their money where they can't touch it. Here's the fourth mistake. They buy a house for them instead of an investment property. So they're going to buy top of market, and they're going to buy the nicest thing for their lifestyle, which is going to put more of their money in prison. These are the 4 biggest mistakes that they're making. And you can review these on the phone with them and let them know. When you go to college and set your sights on a single source of income, you lock your money away in a 401k for the seduction of money that you'll never receive. You listen to your CPA and you lock more money away into your ROI, and then you buy the wrong house. You're not buying an investment. You're not buying a house that can make you money. You're buying a home for you and your family, and you're not thinking, how can I access the equity and do good with this? So financially, you're screwed, you're dead, it's over. And those are the people that are terrified when they see in the last 3 weeks that 4 banks have collapsed. Now, by the way, I had one of my tech companies, our entire bank account, sitting with Silicon Valley Bank. And for about 48 hours, we definitely had our anuses puckered, saying, we think we just lost all of our money. And then the government came in and did a bailout. But can the government keep bailing out all the banks? Like, guys, and it's not just America. We've had 3 big bank losses here. There was a huge bailout that happened in Switzerland. And right now, this is the beginning. So here are the things that people are supposed to do. Number 1, save 20% of your income and you invest it. Not a 401k, not an IRA. You can't afford single-digit ROI. You got to put that thing in a minimum into a double-digit, a triple-digit, or a quadruple-digit ROI according to my Have It All book. And that means that you're essentially buying a piece of someone else's business. You're putting it into your own business like a franchise, or you're putting it in a piece of property. So what you're doing is you're making your money work for you. When you put it into real estate, your double-digit is long-term legacy wealth. If you put it into triple and quadruple, you're starting to move towards active income where you can start getting a lot of cash flow. Now, what every one of you wants to be thinking is, I need to build a flywheel where my money starts becoming huge. And I'm gonna demonstrate the flywheel. When I bought my very first property, it had a basement that I rented and I lived for free. So I had been paying and renting a hole in the ground, a horrible 1-bedroom apartment from like 1940, whatever, that hadn't been updated. I paid $400 a month for this tiny hole in the ground. And when I bought a house, I went to living for free and I moved to 3 bedrooms. So all of a sudden my life became better. And by the way, that was a nice enough home for my circumstance of life. And the equity in that home bought my second home a year later. That second home paid me $600 a month. Living for free, getting paid $600 a month. Was I financially independent off of that? No, but I had my expenses whittled down to under $3,000 a month. I was literally living off of like $2,200 a month. I was living as cheap and poor as I possibly could without weakening my mindset, without telling myself fear, scarcity, poor. I was telling myself, no, I am foregoing the nice car, the nice house. I'm doing these things because in 5 years, I'm gonna own whatever I want, which is what happened because that second home gave birth to a third home, and the third home a fourth. And 25 homes later and $12,500 a month of residual income, how much greater was that than my $2,200 a month of expenses that I still had at that time? I'd replaced my income how many times?
5.
Just about 5 times, which meant that I had 10 grand left over every month. And guess what I was doing with the 10 grand? I was building more businesses and I was buying more homes that produced more cash flow, and it kept. So was it uncomfortable and unpopular to invest instead of increase lifestyle? Yeah, it was. Like everyone looked at me like, you crazy, you stupid. Why are you buying houses? Where's your plasma screen TV? Where's your nicer crap? Why are you living that way? And they don't get it. If you take a look at the trajectory of wealth building over time, like almost every day, I'm in conversations with somebody that owns a very lucrative 8 or 9-figure business, and they want to partner with me. They want to give me anywhere from 10 to 50% equity in their company because of my experience and because of my track record. Guess how much money I bring to the table on those deals?
0.
None. Because that's what track record allows you to do. You have to sacrifice and use your own money to get track record, because why should someone believe in you? It doesn't matter if you're leveraging a great system, and it doesn't matter if it's going to work. You have to pay a sacrifice, and that sacrifice is called less lifestyle today, more investing now. And it takes years sometimes to build up that track record, but here's a really cool thing. 5 years from now, if you're really good at paying yourself first and moving 20% to 30% and 30% to 60% and 60% to 100%, and in my case, 500%, meaning my investments had outproduced my expenses 5 to 1. When I walked from my job, it was an easy decision. It was an easy choice. So when you get on the phone with these people, you have to help them understand that the more banks that fail and the more Biden screws things up, the better financial world it is for you. When everything is going well, your opportunities are limited. When everything's going horrible, your opportunities are maximized. Because the bigger the problem, the bigger the what?
Solution.
The bigger the solution. And by the way, big problems that equate to big solutions equal a little money or a lot of money? The most money. If I had a choice between building wealth in a recession versus an up economy, guess what I'm going to choose every single time?
Recession.
I'm going to choose a recession. And what that does is that sets up a winning scenario for everyone that wakes up to the final financial opportunity. A messed up world is an opportunity with more opportunity. Why do you think we have a war every decade? That war machine is all about what? Yeah, don't think it's about policing the world. Don't think it's about anything. This is a corrupt, evil place where bad people will do bad things for money and for power. And what it guarantees is that when they create big problems, they're going to create big money opportunities and they're going to double dip. And it's inappropriate and wrong. Well, they've made a big mess. And everyone that you talk to on the phone has two ways of looking at this. Watch the news on social media, look at the failed banks, look at the rate of inflation, and here's what I can tell you. All of their savings are being whittled away day by day, year after year. That's what inflation does. They've devalued the dollar. I don't know how many years it's going to take for them to rebuild it back, but I can tell you it is a nightmare mess. But as bad as the dollar loses value, it proportionally gains in hard assets like real estate. So by the way, guess when I make the most money in real estate? In a down economy or an up economy?
Down.
And the worse the down, if we're in a correction, we're not in a crash, but if we were in a crash, I'd be throwing a party right now. Unfortunately, it's only a correction. So it's good, but they can mess it up more and make it better by going into a full-blown crash. We're not set up for a crash because we're missing millions of homes, and we're gonna have to build all of those. So when you get on the phone, I would just share, you have an opportunity to work with Kris. You have an opportunity to partner with Kris. And let me tell you the first thing that you're gonna find. Number one, what's happening is devastating. And if you stay with the four main mistakes, a single source of income, a 401k, an IRA, and trying to buy more house than I can afford and try to get it paid off. If you're making those four choices, you should be terrified. Kris Krohn will tell you, you should be freaked out, terrified, because in the next 5 to 10 years, you're gonna need twice as much money just to maintain what you have today. That's awful. But if you partner with someone like Kris, or guys, it could be TJ, or it could be all of our wealth building financial genius partners, when you work with them, here's the first breath of fresh air you're gonna get. Stop listening to the media and start listening to them, because here's what they know how to do. They know how to create fortunes in recessions. And I would use that phrase. This is the time for fortune building. This is the time for financially establishing. And if you were saying, oh, it's so slow, I wish we could go faster, I got news for you. This is an acceleration time point for the people that jump to the other side of the fence and realize, oh, now is the time to take my 401ks, my IRAs, my equity, and my home and savings and start making financial intelligent plays. They get to win bigger right now. In the last 2 years, we're averaging 34% conservatively on our real estate instead of 26%. What that does is that takes 4.3 million over 20 years. That turns it into $17.4 million. So right now, man, things almost couldn't be better. And in the next 2 years, I'm just going to trust Biden to keep doing what Biden's doing. It's only going to get more amazing, but only if you're on the right side of the fence. So I would just share with them the four biggest mistakes people make, how recessions are opportunities to build fortunes, but you have to get really careful who you follow. Stop following CNN. Stop following Fox News. Turn that crap off and start aligning with people that know how to build wealth in these economies. And I would congratulate them. You got the book, you took action, you did something, you came to an event. Now is the time to double down, triple down, quadruple down, and align yourself with the forces that know how to take this nightmare and turn it into a godsend. And if you in your life have a goal of becoming financially independent or greater financially free, you better lean in to the right people. That's the message I would be sharing with people that are nervous about this economy, because I'm telling you, 2008 was in the cycle. That was a crash. That wasn't a correction. That was the worst economy. And memories are short, because that was now what, 14 years ago? That was the best economy we will see in our lifetime. You won't see that happen, guys, for another 65 years. It's gonna be a long time out right now. We missed it. That was such a great one. I did thousands of homes. I wish I had done tens of thousands of homes. It was the best thing ever. It was awesome. And this is not that. It's bad. It's not that bad, and it's bad enough where you can crank out something amazing for your financial future. So if there was ever a time to work hard, if there was ever a time to buckle down, if there was ever a time to be disciplined, if there was ever a time to be consistent, if there was ever a time week over week over week to build momentum and level the game up, and if you're coming off of a bad week, man, mentally turn it around and jump back in, because you've got a job to do this week. I need to pay you every week thousands of dollars in commissions. And I'm hoping that in this role, you won't be saving 20% of your income. I hope you'll be saving a lot more than that. And every time you get a juicy check, you force yourself to stash that away and say, where can I put this where my money works for me? Because that flywheel turns slow, but if you stick at that for the next 5 years, it should get going fast enough that you don't have to have a job. If you're here, it's because you have a mission here. It's because it's choice. It's because you're paid so well that you can double dip and ride that train as long as you possibly can. Going to open it up for any questions that anyone might have here on conversations that you've had with some people and just wondering, Kris, what do you say when someone says that about this recession going on?
So what if the banks that hold our loans for where we're doing real estate, right? What if those ones go under?
Good question. So right now, if you take a look at Silicon Valley, 50% of all tech companies held their money in that bank. The government did do a bailout. I think they were number 17 or 16 largest bank in the United States. And the government will not allow all these banks to fail, but it does mean the FDIC insured up to $250,000. They technically don't have an obligation over that amount of money. So I think you got to be careful where you basically place your money. We're doing a great job not keeping all of our money in one bank. So we're loaded up with several banks. And so we're being as strategic as we can on that front. I also, you guys know, keep my money in a life insurance account. Way more there than I do in a savings account for two reasons. One is it's harder to access, but it's accessible. And I do that because it is a reminder to myself that that money is for my future and it's for investing. And when money's in the bank account and you have a rainy day fund, it's easy to access when you need it. It's easy to be on a date with your sweetheart and justify buying something that you should have been saving for investment. Make your money a little harder to reach and put it in a smarter and a safer place. Am I worrying about a nationwide banking collapse? No, I'm not. If you understand what happened with the banks, what they did is they kept jacking up interest rates, and what the banks did is they actually hold some of their money in bank-owned life insurance, and they own a heavy portion in bonds. Bonds usually pay out 1%, 2%, 3%, and they require that. They need that for their banking model and system. And when the Fed jacked up rates and they couldn't liquidate their bonds, they were losing money on their bonds. And because of that loss, then there was a run on the bank when people found out about it and their quarterly reports came out. And when people go to a system that's not backed by gold and starts requesting all the money and the money's not there, that's when a bank says, we're now insolvent, bankrupt, we're out, we can't play. So right now, because these are government issued bonds, that's why the government is stepping in and saying, we recognize that we are raising the rates and that we're devaluing the bonds that you've gone to for security and that we're ruining your security. And so one thing that you can trust Biden to do is bail out. You can trust him to print trillions of dollars. You can trust him to make harebrained, stupid decisions instead of people saying, you are responsible for your own life. You have to be accountable for your choices, and they won't do that. That's what's great about our largely run democratic world is that no one has to own anything. No one has to truly be fiscally responsible. I think that'll keep us more safe than anything. Idiots. To your benefit. And a recession. To your benefit. Take advantage of it. Because they don't come along very often. You have to wait years in between. Any other questions on what you've been dealing with, talking to people, worrying about the economy, anything else? Anyone online?
There's been a number of people who have asked about like renters, and if we have a bunch of people that start not being able to afford rent, they need a house but they can't afford it, how we handle that?
Good question. So right now, when you see in the last 2 years that real estate nationwide has gone up 45%, there's almost always a 1 to 2 year lag on rents increasing. And that meant that some of our properties we thought would be positive cash flow were negative or break even. And now the rents are starting to catch up to that schedule and we're getting back in a good zone again. But there will be another adjustment for the next 12 months because that was a violent shift of home price increase and then rents going up dramatically to try to combat that. And then you have the interest rates that are also playing, they're placating that. So this fear of what if people can't pay their rents? If there's one thing we see through all recessions in general, is that when someone has money, the first thing that they're gonna prioritize is what?
Their shelter.
Yeah, they're gonna, because they know they're gonna get kicked to the curb. And their number one fear when you're a renter is that you're gonna become homeless. So there's usually a very low, minuscule correlation from an economy like this and whether or not people can pay their rents. What you will see is people bought homes with really high, expensive homes with high interest rates, and that in some cases doubled payments. And you are going to see over the next 12 to 18 months in this economy, you're going to see a glut of foreclosures go back to the banks, which is also really awesome. Because someone's got to clean up the mess, and the government and the banks are not in the business of doing that, and they leave it to us to be able to take that and turn misfortune into fortune, and to help out wherever we can, and to clean up the economy. Go ahead, Carson.
Can I have a comment to that? Also, with the upping of interest rates, it's actually pushed a lot more people to rent. Our place, we had a tenant that just bounced early, and I got to keep their deposit, and then they found a new renter within a week.
Yeah.
And
So rental market's
it's
strong.
the rental market, like renters right now, it's not your concern because they can't afford a house, but they got to live somewhere. So a lot of people are turning to rent.
Yep. The next decade, single family, the space that we're in real estate is going to remain the most popular. And that means that your ROIs get to be really awesome on it. We're gonna do last question right here.
It's safe to say that that's also going to be very, very good for the lease option space.
Yeah, 100%. They correlate totally with each other. Lease options, rentals, exactly. Well, guys, listen, I just want to come in this morning and just say there's no BS in this. And there's no, oh, hurry, get people excited if they're worried. It's like, this is genuinely real. 2008 was the best thing. What we're experiencing right now won't be as bad as that. But what it does is it breeds far greater opportunity. And it is everywhere. And so just keep our people pumped and excited, and just tell them, align with people that know how to leverage this type of recession for good. You should be pumped, you should be excited, and help them see the brighter side. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.